How far are you willing to go? The drive, the sweat, the blood, the tears, your determination through the pain and all the suffering, people overlooking you, telling you that you're not good enough. You have to believe that you're great. And with you believing that you're great, anything you want to do, you can achieve. No one can stop you. Only you can stop yourself. Keep driving. Keep uplifting yourself. Keep going. Keep going. Nothing, and no one can stop you. That goal you want, you can achieve it. How you inspire people is going to be up to you. Keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going. Never give up.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon, and we're here on 910 Sports TV once again. First and foremost, you know what I got to do. I got to thank God for this opportunity because without Him, there would be no us to be able to come on this great platform to have this great show. So, without, I got to do it from my left to my right. You know what I mean? I got the great, he done messed around and moved up to Virginia, be up there bass fishing, it be up there vacation and stuff, all just living his best life, So, introducing none other than Lamont T. Goins, Coach Goins. How you doing, brother?
I'm gonna steal a line from brother Jacob the Great. It's just great to be amongst the living, and always happy to be on with you brothers. And again, just looking forward to another great show.
All right, so we got my right hand man, because see, right now, see, if let's just say you call me, if you call me Jordan, and then to my left, I would call Coach Goins. He'd be more like I don't know. I would have to say what cool coach, Rodman. He more like Rodman, because he just he the one that gonna get them boys, whatever. Then beside him, I got my man that's been rolling with me for a minute. You know what I mean? I got Pippen over here to the right of him. You know what I mean? So we like the Dynasty Chicago Bulls back in the day. You know what I mean? Your baby mama favorite host and all that kind of stuff. We got Jacob the Great in the building. What's going on, bro?
Oh man, glad to be in the land of the living and trying to stay blessed by the best.
No doubt, no doubt. So listen, fellas, the first conversation we're gonna get into. I know I done harped on this a couple of times, but this is the gift that keeps on giving. So this whole NBA analyst thing is crazy to me. So just recently, first of all, you had Stephen A. Smith threatening Marcellus Wiley, telling him that when he come off vacation, he gonna take the gloves off and he ain't taking no prisoners and he gonna let them all have it, all these haters. And then you got Kendrick Perkins, he coming at Draymond Green, telling him he can get it in the ESPN studio, or they can handle like gentlemen, or they can handle it in the streets, or like he the Mac or somebody from back in the day, Superfly. So so I don't know what's going on, but I just want a question to ask, and one of you, whoever want to jump in first, can jump in on this one. Is sports analysts starting to ruin the sport?
Absolutely. And I'll run with this. So here's what they need to do, right? I know three guys that would love to have that job, right? Fire all of them, right? And go ahead and hire the guys from 910 Sports, and let us get on up there and chop it up and do what's right. It's just a tragedy. You watch the game because we love the game. We don't watch the game because you're hearing these guys going back and forth. I get the bantering, but when you make it personal and you making threats, ESPN, they're a multi-billion-dollar company. Draw the line and go ahead and fire them, and let's if they want to do that, let them get on the podcast and go at it that way. But stop being on my show at 6 o'clock talking that and jumping on and making these rants. They're grown men. They got millions of dollars. Give somebody another shot. So I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what you think, Jacob?
First of all, I want to say chicken forehead, Peebo Bryson looking like Stephen A. Smith ain't gonna do nothing. Ain't gonna do not nothing.
I can't
You
take it.
know, Stephen A. Smith.
My son is Wiley Stephen A. Smith, professional athlete, somebody who scored point 3 points a game, became a journalist. Who was getting a pacifier from Skip Bayless. Like Stephen A. Smith, man. Like you ain't gonna do nothing, man. And Kendrick Perkins and Draymond, you ain't got no dog in that fight, man. I remember when you was talking trash to Tristan Thompson and he seen you at the club, man, he slapped the taste out your mouth, man. So you mean to tell me that you want to go with Kendrick Perkins, and you call Kendrick a coon, bro. Them ain't too nice of a words. You know what I mean? Them words where people it get under their skin. So man, I just think the analysts, need to chill out, man. What happened to NBA players staying retired and just
Mm,
enjoying their life?
mm.
You know, you ain't go to school for journalism, Kendrick Perkins. You don't really know how this media works, man. You think you know, but you don't know what all goes into the media, man. So they put you on there because you're a well-known face. You played in the NBA for some years, but do you really understand what goes on to being a sports journalist, man? So I just really think for the clicks and debates, Disney, ESPN, how these ex athletes, man, and a lot of ex athletes, they can play ball, but when it comes to thinking, they can't think past go. I'm just saying. Just put it out there, man. Like you're smart on the court, but you don't have good talking points. You know, and if a person that's been into journalism like Schaefer that covered the NFL, you can tell he been in journalism for a very 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 long time. He have good talking points. He's at the training camps and stuff like that. Kendrick Perkins, have you ever went to one of the training camps to really see what they got coming off the draft board or see who looks in the G League that could potentially make the NBA? No, man, like these guys are doing it for clickbait and likes, man, and it's tearing the whole sports media world down. You won't ever see this in baseball. You won't.
No. And see, this is my thing too. My thing is if ball players, for one, okay, so the thing about it is the way that Kendrick Perkins was basically okay. Remember this a couple of years ago. Remember when Kevin Durant threatened Michael Rappaport,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a big thing about that, and he had to go back and apologize, and all this kind of stuff. And I think he got fined or whatever for doing that. And
Yep.
so my thing is Kendrick Perkins is supposed to be he's supposed to be a professional in this situation. And if he's supposed to be a professional in a situation, and then wouldn't that kind of go against ESPN and Disney for him going over here and throwing out threats and cursing the man out? I know it's his own private platform, but at the same time, it's just like if you know how it is. If you were a teacher at a school, and me and Jacob was talking about this last night, and I was talking about somebody that was close to me. I knew they got fired from. They was a school teacher and they got fired from a job because they were stealing. And he said, "Oh, you could get fired from that?" I said, "Yeah, because it's kind of like a moral clause in your contract. If you do something like get drunk driving or do something outside domestic violence or do something out at home in your home life that can bring a bad name to the school, you can get fired for it." So isn't Kendrick Perkins violating some kind of rule that the way he's going off and threat him and Stephen A. Smith, they're threatening other analysts, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, in their arena. That's almost like if Kevin Durant was to threaten Stephen Curry or somebody else on another team. If we all in the same kind of, we might be on separate teams, separate team networks or whatever, but you're still threatening somebody that does the same thing I'm doing. That should be a violation. So if they're going to hold players accountable for what they do off the court, then I feel like these analysts should be held accountable for what they say outside of their regular 9 to 5 jobs.
Oh, absolutely.
Hold on,
how much they
hold-
just why are they allowing it to happen? I mean, ESPN, and I'm gonna kind of jump in the in the passenger's seat with Jacob. Are they doing it for clicks, likes? ESPN has to be condoning this behavior, and the reason why I'm saying that because why are they still on the air? So somewhere somebody's getting some money for them to be up there and act like I'm saying. I hate to say this, but I'll say it. Acting like a pure fool, bringing embarrassment on anybody that's trying to get in that industry. So it's almost like, okay, I can't talk about a subject without tearing another brother down. No, I mean, you look around, I mean, we're very fortunate to be in that industry, but yet the up and coming, I mean, so if you sat down and said, hey, what advice do you have for the up and coming guys that's, trying to aspire, to sit at that desk one day, you got to talk about somebody. I'm like, really? My thing is write them a check and send them down the road.
Mm-hmm. What are
nah,
you about
nah,
to say,
nah,
Jacob?
nah, 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 I can't. You said Michael Rappaport.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't talking about the same Michael Rappaport that played on Higher Learning always.
Yeah, remember when Kevin Durant
Yeah.
because Kevin Durant went out of bounds and said something about the man wife or something. You know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be, and there was a big uproar behind it,
Hmm.
and he
Like
got fined and all that stuff.
who is these people letting somebody like Michael Rappaport in on like ESPN, man? Like I remember him from being a skinhead on High Learning. Like what?
I've
Like
never understood the right Michael Rappaport infatuation with these sports shows because they, especially like Skip Bayless, and they used to have him on there all the time on Undisputed, and I never understood it. Like in when the Big Three first started, he was one of the sideline reporters or whatever, and I just never understood the whole infatuation with
That's
Michael
correct.
Rappaport. I never understood it.
I don't understand. Like hearing him report or commentate something, is just like putting Screech Powers on there from Saved by the Bell.
Mm.
Oh Lord, okay. Ooh, on that note, well, what else
Well,
do you have, Jacob? What other topic do you have?
So the next time we can go to Indiana FEMA won the Commissioner World Cup, sort of like the play-in tournament, right?
You said who
And
did what now?
Indiana Fever,
Oh,
WNBA.
okay, Indiana Fever. Okay.
So Caitlin Clark and her squad won the Commissioner's Cup. It's sort
Oh,
of
okay.
like the play-in tournament.
Uh huh.
And they this is the first year they did it. So she's the first one, her and her squad, the first one to do it. And people like, why are people making a big deal about it? It's just some commissioner cup. It's not a WNBA championship. I say, why not? Why why can't they be glorified and celebrated? If now I feel like people just take this Caitlin Clark thing just a little bit too far, man. It's a basketball. She's a female. It's like this right here. If you watch uh, uh, the movie, you know, she's the great white hope. You know what I mean? So let them have that because thus far, without somebody like a Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi or somebody like that, you don't really see them highlighting any other the Caucasian players. It's like black women make the league run. So I understand why, and she a dog on the court. You like it ain't like she can't play ball. She can play ball. So do you guys think the media blows it out of proportion with the whole Caitlin Clark and Angela Reese and Asia Wilson type thing? Is it more of what they do on the court? Or is it more of what the media tends to blow out of proportion to get the fans riled up?
You can go ahead,
well,
Coach.
all right. So here's my take on it, right? And you nailed it on the head. So what's putting the butts in the seat, right? What's paying the payroll? What's causing them now to have chartered flights versus flying commercial? If it's Caitlin Clark, guess what? You know what? Give her a pillow, give her a blanket, give her extra room service, give her another soda on the flight, right? Because if she is allowing the league to grow and putting money in your pocket, excuse me, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? How can I contribute to the Caitlin Clark Fund? Because you take her out of the league, there's the sponsorships. People are not going to watch it. You know, the revenue's not going to grow. Am I saying it's fair? No, I'm not saying it's fair, but the truth is the truth. So in that, when you put her in that spotlight, and the shining, of course it's going to be bright on her. And then now tapping into the other ones, I think they have to have a byline. They've got to have something. They got to have the bad boys versus the old Chicago Bulls. And I think that's where Angel Reese comes in, playing the villain or playing that the hoodwink of the league. And again, just to sell tickets, because nobody wants to go where it's just like everybody's in love with everybody and they go, oh, let's just go to the ball game. No, they want to be able to see a little bit of action behind the scenes. But I can see where the women in the league is salty because they've been in there, they paid their dues, and all of a sudden here's the Great White Hope showing up. So here's my take on that. It's almost just like when Cooper Flagg got drafted. They were all, talking about how great he was, and not to change the subject, just to bring out a point, is they brought him in, but they never said anytime the game was on the line, he never made a clutch basket for Duke to win the ball game. So in that, here's the thing. Because what happens is they've got to have somebody that can run the narrative and not be a person of color.
Now, let me say that before we jump. It's funny you said that because I was talking to somebody else the other day that's a big Duke fan. And I was asking him, I said, well, do you really think that Cooper Flagg is that guy? And he said, yeah, he's a very great player, whatever. And I said, but Cooper Flagg didn't dominate college basketball the way they made it out to be. They hyped the man up the whole season. And you said a great point. I forgot who said it, but I do remember that when somebody did bring up the point that Cooper Flagg never made a clutch shot the whole time he was in college basketball, but they
No.
made it seem like he was the greatest thing. And they even try to put him like top 5 greatest college basketball player. And I'm like, y'all done lost y'all mind if y'all think Cooper Flagg in the top 5. He barely a top 5 on his own team as far as greatest Duke players of all time. So y'all talking about college basketball freshman or whatever, or greatest freshman or whatever. He not even close to the greatest freshman that ever played a game. You know what I mean, or whatever. So that's for another subject for another day. So getting back to the Caitlin Clark thing, huh?
I just said Cooper Flag, Do Rag, Nick Jag, Lakers in 5.
So getting back to Caitlin Clark, I kind of equate this to when the Lakers won the COVID championship,
The
and
bubble.
then when they won the in-season tournament, and people tried to downplay it when they won the COVID championship, but then when now that they bring it up, somebody kept bringing up the point of you got to realize something. When the Lakers, when the COVID season stopped, when everything shut down, the Lakers was number 1 in the West at the time. So it wasn't like the Washington Wizards or the Charlotte Hornets won the championship when they came into the tournament. The team that was supposed to be in there was in there, and the Lakers just won. They was the number 1 team in the West, and they just happened to win it all. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably should have. They were scheduled to do anyway, or projected to do anyway. So in the East end season tournament, the first one, the Lakers and LeBron happened to win, and people who don't like LeBron try to downplay it. So now that people don't like Caitlin Clark, people that don't like Caitlin Clark trying to downplay it. But if Asia Wilson or somebody else would have won it, or Paige Becker would have won that tournament, it would have been a big deal. But the fact that they won it, it's like, oh well, they just hyping it up because it's Caitlin Clark. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I told Jacob, I said, whoever is the commissioner of WNBA should have been fired a long time ago. I said, this league been around for 30 years, and the big three almost have more teams than they do. They just now starting to add on more teams. You should not be around for 30 years at a professional league and only have 12 teams. Well, that don't make no doggone sense. That let me know they have not done their due diligence of building this league up. They want to blame everybody else. And Colin Cowherd made a point. He said it's like you complain about all the stuff you want, and then when you finally get it, you find something wrong with it. They for years they complained about ESPN and all these sports channels not boosting up the WNBA, and when they finally do it, now they mad at how they doing it and why they doing it, but they doing it and they still have a problem with it. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I just want to point out what you said. You said it ain't like the Washington Wizards are the Charlotte Bobcats won the bubble, the COVID championship. Well, you got to change that name, man. So I'm gonna give you guys the new names for those two teams: the Washington Delegates and 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 and, and, and the Charlotte Pigeons. Because both of them teams don't even need to be in the NBA, man. Like you just move the team somewhere else, man. You know, like like man, you can move Charlotte. You know, move them to Wyoming somewhere. The Wyoming Badgers are just
You
a
the
move,
Wyoming Badgers. Lord have mercy.
just a
They
move.
put a team in Wyoming. I know it's over with. I know it didn't fell off. They put a team in Wyoming. Ain't nothing now. Ain't nothing in
Ain't that
Wyoming. Ain't barely people in Wyoming. So I,
Man, you just I don't know, man. It's like everybody that ever coached Charlotte is kind of failed. Like Michael Jordan failed as an owner, you know. And you know the Wizards, man. You know, if you I used to live in D.C., so I just kind of know how them especially the basketball team. I kind of know how they party. Like I was up there at the time when it was Jawan Howard and Rod Strickland and oh listen man, they party. You know I didn't been into the nose of the nose when I lived in DC. So you know, I just think you know, and they need to move the team out of Memphis, man. Like the Memphis need to be moved, man. Like people don't even want to go visit Memphis. Like Memphis is a war zone, man, and it's a few teams that need to be relocated, man. Because I heard a WNBA, I heard I think it's Lexi Hall. They said they're gonna bring a new team to WNBA team to Detroit, and she said, "Well, who wants to live in Detroit?"
dude, people in Detroit don't want to live in Detroit. Most people in Detroit moving out of Detroit. So I mean, but you know, Doc Hollywood gonna come at you for talking about his Memphis Grizzlies. You know
mm.
what I mean? I don't know.
No,
You know who Doc Hollywood is,
yeah,
but he can
I
come in. I
know who
mean,
Doc Holliday. I know who
Doc
Doc
Holiday, is
Holliday.
it Holiday or Hollywood? Holiday or whatever. Doc
But
Holiday.
it's okay, man, because every time you turn on the news, you hear something about Memphis every other day,
Yeah,
and you want people to represent a basketball team there, man. Like you know you you already got John Morant, thinking he was on the Wild Wild West of Will Smith. You know what I mean? So so I mean I don't know, man. I don't know,
you gonna go
man.
back to the Wild Wild West with Will Smith. Yeah,
But
there it
but
comes.
but you're right though. I mean, you're asking people to to invest and by being a season ticket holder, and then it's gonna cost them money for security to get to the games. I mean, and
Right.
then you got the visiting teams to get to the games.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Memphis before. You know, you on a couple streets, and there's the not just the police. The police are in towers, right? They get in the tower and they raise up, and then now they can oversee the street. We checked in the hotel, and I was out there for the NCAA tournament, and they told us, they said, "Hey, don't go far. If you're gonna go down toward the stadium, but don't go 2 or 3 blocks away from the stadium." I'm like, where are we?" But and the same thing. I think Seattle would be a great market for somebody to move a team back to
Mm-hmm.
Seattle. I mean, think about the Supersonics. I mean, you take OKC and put them back in Seattle, but that's a great market. Texas is large enough to have another team. And you don't need another team in LA, and you don't need one in the New York area. But yeah, but Charlotte, man, it's a tragedy. I mean, for basketball, for North Carolina to be the state that it is, and not to have a well represented NBA team, and not be able to have players to come play for that organization, something's wrong from top to bottom.
Yeah,
Right,
you're
right,
right. You're right. So, Coach, you got a topic you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's. What I want to do, I want to talk about. I know Jacob the Great was talking about fishing when we got on here, so I want to just pick his brain. When what you challenge Iconi to say, hey man, you need to pick up that sport of fishing. So how about telling the folks what is so great about fishing, and how does it allow you to relax? How does it allow you just to get away from it all? You either tie that top water on, you put your plastic, or you go some live bait. Well, just talk to us about it. I know you got your Bass Pro Shop hat, but what's the interesting thing that you love about when you're able to escape from your day to day?
Nature, man. Nature. It's just you and nature, man. And it's you just tack a box. You're reeling word, whether you're using an open face or a 33 zip code. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Or if you take it back to when your grannies taught you how to fish, when they just got the pole with the line and just fish off the bank with either the worms or the crickets. You know what I mean? So it's just relaxing you in nature. Or if you're the type of person they have a pontoon or a bass boat where you kind of get on the boat with your 6 pack or your 12 pack and you just fishing for the sport, man. And then once you good enough and you think you're good enough, you can even get in some of these amateur competitions. Whether wherever you may live at, whatever lake or whatever river you close to, they always have amateur competitions. And so once you win a few of them, 5,000 here, 3,000 here, 3,500 here. And you can much easily well get a sponsor, man. So it's great, it's relaxing, man, and it can be rewarding, if that's something that a person want to do. And they even have the youth fishing championships now. So it's definitely relaxing. It can help you take a little coach, just smelling the water, just listening to the waves, and when that reeling rod hit and that fish give you a bite and and you reeling that thing and it's hard to bring him in and that fish jump up and you think he's gonna break the line, but you reel him in some more. Yeah, yeah, it's still rewarding.
How about that? How about that? So I
Okay.
appreciate I appreciate that, man. So here's where I want to go. I was thinking about this earlier this morning. What is the why when black HBCU coaches, why are they locked in? So you look at Lavelle Moton, right? So he's been at North Carolina Central. He's had a great career. And I know, personally, a good friend of mine, Bobby Collins, has won championships basically at every stop that he's made. These guys don't get an opportunity to get outside of HBCU universities. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's is it a death wish? What's your take on why these guys can't get a look from a mid major or even not just a mid major, somebody get on somebody's coaching staff, but it just seems like they're locked in once they sign those HBCU deals.
Well, I
Um,
think I think I think because they a lot of these bigger schools or whatever don't take them seriously when they at these schools like that. They don't take them as serious like they should. They should, and so they kind of get. It's almost like being an actor and you play a gangster role or you play a certain role and you get pigeonholed to that role. And I think some of these black coaches go to these schools, these HBCU schools, and some of them get pigeonholed like, oh, that's all they can do is coach at these smaller schools, and I think sometimes some of those coaches get comfortable. So I think it's
Mm,
a two-way street. I think some of them, like you look at what's the name, Eddie Robinson at Grambling. You don't think Coach Robinson couldn't have coached in any school in America, but he chose to stay there, and I think that's kind of the stigma of HBCU coaches because they, like you said, they end up being at these HBCU schools so long, and Eddie Robinson kind of set the standard that once you come here, you don't leave. And so
mm.
I think that's kind of maybe the reputation around or the aura around coaches that go to those schools that once you're there, you build that school up and you never leave.
That's a good
You know
call,
what I mean?
Jacob.
well, I'm gonna say this. I think that HBCU coaches lack not confidence within the HBCU, but lack confidence when applying for Division 1, Division 2, or Division 3, or even Ivy League school, and just because the mental capacity of them, well, I don't even think they would look at my application or they would even give me a chance. But you don't never know until you try. You know what I mean? And then if you coached at HBCU for 20, 30 years, why wouldn't you even try to get a job in the NFL or the NBA? Or Major League Baseball. You know what I mean? So I think that maybe they're committed to these kids, but I can tell you this right here. I was on a project when when Bethune Cookman was in trouble. I was appointed to sit in a conference with Dr. Mary Clyde Bethune niece. She's the mayor of Maysville, South Carolina. And a lot of these HBCU schools, let's keep it real. Let's call it deuce to deuce and a spade, and let them puppy toes walk. The alumni in HBCU mishandle a lot of funds. I remember right down here in Columbia, South Carolina, Benedict College was having so many fundraisers and throwing concerts and taking up so much money because the school was scarce. The same way as South Carolina State University. You know what I mean? Like, so who is misusing the funds that they get from these grants? And it's not a little bit of money from the grants. We talking about 1.2 million, 3.2 million. We talking about sometimes up to $5 million, and the school is broke. And you mean you're telling me that you've been getting that for over 50, 60 years? How can the school even be broke?
Yeah,
How?
and I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I always didn't ever want to speak on it on that term, but you brought it up. Like my son, he went to Fort Valley, and I know it was a lot of fishy stuff going on with the money. Every semester, it was always, oh, where's the, they couldn't find it, like they couldn't find the money or whatever. The kids were supposed to get paid, and it was just a lot of funny business going on. And so I just hear, like, you hear too many of these horror stories about these HBCUs, schools stealing money. And I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to bad mouth the HBCUs. But more and more, when you see these coaches going to these schools, when you see Dion going to Colorado and Ed Reed going to, what was it, FAMU,
Yeah.
and the facilities out there and all of that kind of stuff. And they saying the facilities was almost as bad, almost on lower than a high school program, or whatever, almost like a middle school program, how bad the football facilities or just, be at these schools. So it's just one of those things where they definitely have to do better. And like I said, with the whole coaching thing, the coaches, like you said, they have to make the decision of putting your name out there. But I think sometimes too, and I get throw it back over to Coach Goins after this, I think what happens is, when you become top dog, and now you got to kind of start over because, like, if let's say if those coaches go somewhere else, they probably a lot of times they're not gonna get a head coaching job. So let's say they have to go on staff under Urban Meyer, or they got to go on the staff of Dabo Sweeney, and kind of work their way up of being a head coach. And some of these coaches don't want to relinquish that top dog reign, status or whatever. But yeah, that's
Well,
kind of what I think Phil that's the case too.
Yeah, I
well,
mean, go ahead, go ahead, go
let
ahead,
me
Jacob.
say this. Let me say this before you go, Coach. I had a young man tell me he visited South Carolina State University and he visited Presbyterian College out in Clinton, South Carolina. And what he told me about Furman and Presbyterian, and when he visited South Carolina State, and when he visited Shaw, he said that the facilities were nowhere close. He said, compared to Furman, and now Furman is a pretty small school, just like Presbyterian is a pretty small school. And these schools are well known HBCUs that light up your eyes when people talk about them, especially Shaw, you know what I'm saying, A&T and places like that, man. So how can a small school that's sponsored by the churches have these great facilities, man, that almost look like NFL facilities versus the HBCUs that's been around for 60, 70 years?
And that's a great call. And I also, you guys make valid points. And I also want to, give a shout, not a call out, but just a shout out to the Alumni Association. A lot of them, a lot of these funds come from, alumni turn around and donating back to the schools, and, giving this and giving that, and, boosters this and boosters that. I mean, but when you go to some of these HBCU campuses, they've been playing in the same arenas, for 25, 30 years. They may go in and paint the walls, but it's the same facility. Now you go in and try to recruit a kid and you bring them in, and your locker room is not as up to par as a college. It makes it very tough for these coaches to, to mix it up. But I think you're exactly right. You guys You bring valid points. A lot of it is backroom scandals. I mean, look at St. Augustine's in Raleigh, North Carolina. I mean, it was a powerhouse for years. The track and field program was probably one of the best in the country, and their doors are closed. Because where's the money? And then they slowly started. This program went away. They had to drop out of this league. They dropped out of that league. But you're exactly right. Some of the coaches, have been there and they're locked in and they're comfortable because they don't want to relinquish. They don't want to move 6 inches where they're not calling the shots because now, as assistant coach, you can't run the play you want to run because you ain't sitting. You move 6 inches to your left and you're not the head guy calling the shot. So valid points, but I just wanted to kind of pick you guys' brain and just see what your thought process was around that matter. So I kick it back to Icon.
Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about this latest story that came out about Shador Sanders. And I was listening to, and the report came from Marcellus Wiley, and he was basically saying that TJ Hushmanzada he had a source inside Cleveland that basically that at this point Shador Sanders is basically fourth string. He's not even getting snaps in practice anymore. Basically, it's coming down between backup is between Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel, and Joe Flacco's pretty much the number one. And he made some good points when he was talking about Marcellus Wiley when he was talking about basically when you get picked in the fifth round. At that point, when you're in practice, you get the pick of the litter as far as who you play with. You basically playing with the FedEx drivers and the Amazon drivers in practice. So you're not gonna really get a true look of even if you have a great practice that they're looking at, well, who are you throwing the ball to in practice? You're not throwing it to the number ones. You're not practicing against the number ones or the number twos. You practice against the guys that are not even gonna make the team. So let's say when he said the only way he said when they start preseason, when they play that first season game, if the other three come out and play like trash, and then he come in there and play pretty good, he may have a legit chance. But at this point, Shador Sanders probably got pretty much no chance of making the team, which is a tragedy. You know what I'm saying? So, what y'all think on that one?
It's and when you go that late in the draft, that's exactly right because number one, how many quarterbacks you gonna keep on the roster? You keep four quarterbacks on the roster. Somebody else has got to go home. You keep Shador. Now you turn around. Now you're gonna lose a linebacker. You're gonna lose somebody. If he's released, I'm guarantee you somebody will go ahead and say, okay, we should. And here's that back room talk. I'll use that word. Is okay. He's gonna be released. Now we're gonna pick him up because we want to draft him, but now we're gonna pick him up. So you're right. If he's cut, it's a tragedy but it may also be a blessing in disguise to get out of Cleveland. I wish he was in the Steel City, but he's not. But I think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting season. But I think above, put it this way, above his neck, he's solid, and I think he'll be all right.
Now, I would say to Jacob before you go. Say before you go, Jacob. The only way at this point I see Shador Sanders staying with Cleveland is if it comes from the top. So in
That's
other
right.
words, it's going to have to be a business decision. And I
Correct.
told Jacob this earlier. I said the thing about it is a lot of people now who became so-called Cleveland Brown fans became the fans of Shador Sanders being on the field. So now, if the owner's looking at his bottom line and saying I can make money, think about it. When LeBron went back to Cleveland, they said that first year, I think they made like $1 billion the first year he went back when he went from Miami back to Cleveland. Like the team made like $1 billion, some crazy number. So just think about if you take Shador Sanders off of Cleveland Browns, and then the people that came over there that was gonna buy his jersey and buy merchandise that had Shador on it, they gonna leave with him. So
Yep.
now you're losing revenue, and you're losing a possible player that could have made an impact on the team. But go ahead, Jacob.
Um, I don't know how to say this in a very, very nice way. But just to hear Joe Flacco name and Kenny Pickett name, man, you will come out better, having Gomer Powell and Forrest Gump as quarterbacks.
Yeah, this joker here, boy.
Man, listen, folks. Kenny Pickett, man. I just don't understand, man. Like, why? Right, man. And Flacco, man, Flacco out there looking like Kirk Douglas. No, man.
Nah, not Kurt Davis, boy. Hey, I have more respect for Cleveland if they let the young boys have it. If they let Dylan
Hey,
Gabriel
hey,
and Shador have it, and even if they went 0-17, I'll be like, well, they got rookies on the team. They trying to
that's
grow the team,
correct.
build them up. But you got this older dude. But Joe Flacco about our age. Joe Flacco about 72 years old, and Kenny Pickett ain't been good since shit. They've been better off having doggone Wilson Pickett out there. So I mean, come on now. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? I mean, good lord. I mean, what the world is Cleveland doing? Like,
Hey,
and
man,
then
hey,
you got to
man,
think they still got what's call on the books. They still
Yeah,
got Deshaun
yeah,
Watson on the books.
yeah, and paying him 200 some $1 million. I mean,
hey, man,
yeah,
I'm
I don't
sorry,
know,
man.
man. You know what? They busted from. I mean, that right there, right there. You know what I kind you said that caps it all right there. First of all, when you sign Watson, give Watson what I think $203 million. That's your first problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying he's a player, but he ain't worth no $200 million. I mean, how you going now? Now you don't boxed him in. How you gonna unload him?
They
Who's gonna
can't.
pick? Who you
Not with
can't?
two. Not with a. He tore his Achilles. Then when he in rehab, he retore. So he done. He ain't. The way they saying that the earliest he gonna come back is maybe the year after next. You know what I'm saying? And then even if he come back next season, he gonna ain't nobody gonna want him.
No,
So they still
no.
gonna own like I think they still gonna own like another 100 million, or maybe they might be down to the last year by then where they might own like 50 million. But I think they would still have 2 years left on his contract when he would finally come back.
I tell you what, I don't want to go to no Cleveland game because they got to pay that kind of money. Hot dog's gonna be $25, and it'll be $150 to park your car. I
Man, the
mean,
city ain't worth $25. You been through Cleveland? The
man,
city ain't worth $25.
no. So
Let alone the
they
hot
gonna
dog.
jack up the price. So somebody gonna you mean to go up in there now. You buy a beer, probably be paying $30. I mean, they gonna put the price tag on the fans. That's what's gonna have to happen.
Mhm.
Hey,
Every
hey,
time I go through Cleveland, I instantly get depressed. I have to drive out of there as quick as possible. I just drive through
hey,
Cleveland, I get depressed. I don't even live there, so I just imagine what the citizens do. You know what I mean?
I can. The only way Cleveland can sell tickets is if they put Morris Chestnut at running back and Nelly at quarterback.
Hey, and Usher is the mascot dancer. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's the only way that's gonna happen. Cause who's that? Hey, cause I think he originally from. Well, yeah, I think yeah, because I think Usher used to own the team. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I don't even know why Usher bought the team. I don't even you don't hear him talk about it no more. I don't
No,
know if he still got part ownership in the Cleveland. Well, not the Cleveland Browns, but he had part ownership in the Cleveland Cavaliers at one point. But I don't know what Cleveland doing, man. I really
no,
don't.
they
I
don't
don't
either.
get this. I don't get this whole Shador Sender situation and why they feel the need to not
yes, you do.
really try to utilize them.
You get it.
I mean,
They
I
got
understand. I get it.
they got
I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean?
they
I
got
get what the whole thing is about, but it's still at the end of the day, you're gonna tell me that these three guys are more talented than Shador. You're
No.
not gonna make me. I watched Shador play for 2 years. I
Yes.
watched him play behind when he played behind Colorado for them 2 years. The first, especially the first year, he had no line. He had his line. Me, you, and me, Jacob, and Lamont, and we get two other guys off the street, and we could have had a better offensive line than what they had out there. And this man he got tackled. I think he was the most sack
He
quarterback in
was.
the league
That's
in,
correct.
in college football, and he
That's
still
correct.
put up like 4,000, 5,000 yards, throwing the ball, had a bunch of touchdowns, low interceptions, and now you're gonna sit here and tell me that even in Cleveland, as bad as they are, he could
Right.
probably actually thrive in Cleveland to a certain degree if you give him a halfway running game and a couple of receivers. You know what I'm
so,
saying?
so one last question. Do you think that he'll make it the preseason?
At this point, no, because they're not even using him. I mean, he might make it a preseason, but I think after maybe after the first or second game when they do their cuts, he might be the first cut. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because I don't see where this is going. You got four quarterbacks in there. You're not using them in practice. I guarantee you, if we go around the league and take any team that has 3 or 4 quarterbacks that's in training camp. The one that's the fourth quarterback that's not playing, going to be the first one to go. So Shedeur Sanders is not going to be no different than any of these other quarterbacks unless one of the 3 get hurt or just play terrible in preseason.
So is this a setup? Would they cut him? He go to Dallas, and Dallas cut Joe Milton.
Could be.
I mean, it could be. I mean, he could. I mean, to me, I would take him at Washington as because I think he's just as good as Marcus Mariota. You know what I mean, or whatever. But I mean, on where I see him getting back in the league after this, if you got a couple of injuries and you start looking at, okay, who's the backups we can bring in as to sign and bring them in and kind of see what they got. And I think that's how I should do it, possibly get on the field. And hopefully maybe in 3-4 years, he'll have that comeback story where he'll get in there on a starting situation one weekend and blow everybody away, and then get a starting job based off of that. Because think about it, what's old boy in Seattle? You know what I mean? He was pretty much done.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he had that, huh?
You talking about when Geno went to Seattle?
Yeah, Geno Smith, when he went to Seattle, he was done. And then he had that one night where he had a great game, and I forgot who he was backing up at the time. And I think was it Russell Wilson was still there or whatever. And he came in there, and Russell Wilson got hurt, and he played about 2-3 games in a row where he won a few games, and next thing you know, he the starting quarterback. You know what I mean? Or what's old boy in San Francisco? He was like third. He was the last pick in the draft. He was the fourth. Like the fourth. He's like third string or something. Both quarterbacks got hurt. Brock Purdy. Next thing you know, he come in there and dominate and take over the job. So it can happen. It just ain't gonna happen in Cleveland.
No.
But anyway.
I'm gonna tell you before we close out. It's real diabolical for the Saints to really think that Spencer Rattler gonna do something, and you got Shedeur out here. Like the Saints could have got Shedeur off the board, but you got so much confidence in Spencer Rattler, man. I wouldn't even put a Nerf football in his hand.
I mean, the Steelers could have got Mike Tomlin, but they went out and got Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers was on the last cocoon that I used to watch in the 80s. And so they went and got Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, they could have had him a few times in the draft. And,
just to go get the diva Aaron Rodgers, you come out better than you a quarterback in Victoria's Secret.
If they were going to do that, I wish they would have called Ben back.
Exactly. They've been better off calling Ben back. Shoot, hey, because I don't see what they seen in Aaron Rodgers. They waited on him like he was the number 1 pick in the draft or something. The way they waited on that man, I was like,
Lord,
what? Why are y'all waiting on him to make an answer? Give y'all an answer. Even your linebacker, your Haywood, what's the name? Haywood, your defensive lineman Haywood. Even he was like, why are we waiting on this man to make a decision? You know what I mean? So the whole thing is just a bunch of politics and a bunch of BS in the NFL, and we've been knowing this for years. Ever since the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, they've already showed their hand and showed us who they really are. You know what I'm saying? And we just kind of refuse to believe it at times, but not us, but the masses. They refuse to believe what we seeing on a weekly basis. NFL we know what they are. They're the most racist. They're probably the most racist league out of all of them.
Oh, without a doubt.
All the leagues, NFL shows their hand more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or whatever. But anyway, fellas, great show tonight. So we're gonna have a big huge announcement next week, y'all. I'm super excited. We got something big. We got something big in store for y'all coming. But I'm super excited, and so y'all just keep rocking with us, man, and keep supporting, because by y'all supporting us, they're definitely helping us grow and take this thing to another level. So y'all have a blessed and wonderful evening, and I see everybody on the next go.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? We out.
Good night.
Good night.